Welcome on into the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast. This is episode number 6 of 2026, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of my 2026 season predictions. Both individually and on a club level, we'll be looking at it all. So that's today's plan. If you're new around here, we do 2 episodes every single week, all the way through the season. So for the next 9 months, 10 months, however many months it is, we've got 2 episodes every single week. Mondays and Fridays at the moment. Once the season kicks off, it will be Mondays and Thursdays. That's pretty much all of that. Let's jump into what we've got for you today. First, that's a rundown of our pre-season episodes of the podcast. As you can see, obviously there's been 5 already up. You can see what each one of them is about. This is episode number 6, which is our season predictions. On Monday, coming up, we'll have our match sim reviews episode. Been watching all the match sims, going through all the data, everything you need to know about each of those teams will be in that episode, so that's out on Monday. Make sure you come back and watch that one. Season preview will be on next Friday, and then we'll have pre-season matches review on the following Monday. And rounding out our pre-season with an opening round preview, episode number 10 on the 5th of March. Plenty of podcasting coming up. The podcast goes out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Pick your favourite. Make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button, and don't miss an episode. Jumping on in, we also pre-season have a pre-season preview for every single club going out in the month of February. We're a fair chunk of the way out already. At time of release of this, we're already up to Port Adelaide, so a fair chunk of the teams are already up on the YouTube channel, so go check it out if you haven't already. There's 5 to go. Richmond go out on Saturday, St Kilda Sunday, and then next week, Tuesday, we've got Sydney, Wednesday, West Coast, and Thursday will be the final one, which is the Western Bulldogs. Go check them all out. We look at depth charts, best 23, recent form, all the ins and outs, fixture analysis, everything you need to know about your favourite team, or just all the teams if you are so much inclined. So go check all them out. Plenty of football content over on the YouTube channel, pretty much every day at the moment, throughout pre-season. What the content will look like once the season starts maybe changes up a little bit. But before we jump into the crux of this episode, don't forget to go check out all the social medias as well. It's all Aussie Rules everywhere. Type it in, you'll find us. It's the same logo everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, you name it. All Aussie Rules, go find it. Plenty of content all over the place. Now, first up, we're looking at the most likely players that I think will be a first-time All-Australian in 2026. We're going to look at one for every single team. I might name a couple extras that if they're at a club that I think has a few options. But the most likely for every club, and then the top 3. I mean, it's all on the screen. You can see it all, you can read it all, but we will go through it all as well. First up, Adelaide. I think Josh Worrell was pretty unlucky, in all honesty, to not be All-Australian last year. He was pretty close. He would have been in the top 5 or 6 in that position. So I would say a slight improvement from him in 2026. We'll see him there. There's a bit of competition in terms of first-time All-Australians at Adelaide. Other players that I could see doing it. Isaac Rankin's probably the next most likely. And then also Ben Keys and Joshua Shelley. Probably Rochelle above Keys. Out of the 4 most likely for Adelaide, but I think Josh Worrell's the pick of the bunch. Next up, we head up to the back-to-back premiership team in the Brisbane Lions, and you'd think, hey, they've won 2 premierships in a row. How many players could there be that still haven't got an All-Australian that deserve it? Well, let's run through a list here. We got Jasper Fletcher, Will Ashcroft, Logan Morris, Cam Rayner, Darcy Wilmot, all as chances to be first-time All-Australians. I've gone with Will Ashcroft. I think the ability we've seen from him in both final series of the last 2 years, including both grand finals, has suggested that he's ready to take that leap into the elite status as an inside midfielder in the AFL. If he does take that mantle as their number one midfielder, which there is a lot of competition for that in Brisbane, but over the last couple of years, he's certainly shown he's a big game player. If he can do that throughout the home and away season, I don't see any reason why he can't be All-Australian this year. Obviously, there are a lot of good midfielders. There's not that many positions in an All-Australian team, but I think he's the most likely. I also would love to see Jasper Fletcher get there, and maybe Logan Morris is a big chance as a key forward. If he can kick 60-plus goals this year, keep improving each season, then he won't be far away either this year or next year. Carlton, I had trouble with Carlton picking one. The four most likely ones, I did find four that haven't got All-Australian that I think potentially are at least capable. George Hewitt, Nick Newman. Nick Newman might be close. Ben Ainsworth has had a good pre-season. Pardon me. And Will Hayward's the fourth. But I went with Ben Ainsworth. I'm not real confident any of those four will get All-Australian, but I've gone with Ainsworth as the most likely. Collingwood, Darcy Cameron's my number one pick there. I think he was best and fairest last year for Collingwood. He's arguably top 5 ruckman at least last season. I think we had him ranked 4th. The ruck rules will change things a lot this season, I think. It looks like potentially a lot of teams are going to run 2 ruckmen. That could be completely wrong. It might change completely. But if that's the case, a lot of teams are going to change a lot in how they play, how the ruckmen play, and therefore who will be the best ruckman in the competition. So it could not be Darcy Cameron at all. If he doesn't like these new rules, we'll see. But at the moment, he's a very good intercept marker. In terms of ruckman, he's probably the best in the competition. So I think that's an area of the game that won't change at all for him. So with the new ruck rules, so yeah, I would expect that he'll still have a very, very good season. Other players from Collingwood that haven't been All-Australian, probably Jamie Elliott, the unlucky one last year. And then Lockie Schultz played a really good season last year. Isaac Quainer in the back line hasn't got it. And Jordan De Goey, who, I mean, from what we've seen the last 2 years, probably not good enough. But if he could get back to 2023 form, then who knows, maybe. Essendon, next up, I've gone with Jai Caldwell. He was actually their highest rated midfielder in our system last year, just edging Zach Merritt in the last couple of weeks. He's a very talented player, very good player. I don't think he's going to get All-Australian this year, but in terms of players that haven't got All-Australian at Essendon that are capable, I've gone with him on top, ahead of Archie Roberts and Andrew McGrath, who are 2 defenders, although maybe Archie Roberts moves into midfield a bit more this season. Fremantle, this one's a big chance. Luke Jackson, in my opinion. One of the best at what he does. It'll be interesting to see what sort of midfield to ruck time he plays this season. But he looks like someone that will benefit from new ruck rules. He looks like someone that keeps getting better each year as well. So I expect to see a big season from him. I've got him ahead of Josh Tracy, who's certainly capable of a 60-plus goal season and being All-Australian, and Hayden Young, who at most other clubs I would say is a very good chance for All-Australian, but in a midfield that's stacked with Brayshaw and Sarong, to name 2, I don't think it will happen, but I love Hayden Young, and I really do hope that he does get it. Moving on, Geelong, Maxi Holmes is who we're gone with. How he's not All-Australian. I think he's an absolute gun player, and if he lives up to his ability this season, I think he will be All-Australian. Ahead of, I think both Sean Manor and Brian Myers also probably deserve to be All-Australian from what we've seen over the last year or so. And Ollie Dempsey's number 4. He's shown some good talent and good running ability if he continues to improve. Maybe not this season, but over the next couple seasons, I wouldn't be surprised to see him jump into All-Australian contention. Gold Coast Suns, I've gone with Sam Collins. He is arguably one of the top 5 key defenders in the competition. We'll see if he has another big season. But if Gold Coast go as well as a lot of people expect them to this year, I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that. Other players, Bailey Humphrey, Ben Long, really good up forward, and Ben King. Didn't get there last year, even though he kicked a lot of goals. Probably needs to do a little bit more around the ground, but I think he's certainly capable of that. GWS, I've gone with Lockie Ash, who we all saw excel on Origin. I knew where I was going with that one. Origin, he played an outstanding game. I think we'll see him take another leap this year into one of the best rebounding defenders in the competition. Other players that don't have it, I think Finn Callahan's very likely to take that step, potentially, if he improves any on last year. Jack Buckley is unlucky not to have one yet. Connor Iden, who I rate as one of the best medium-sized defenders in the competition. And Aaron Cadman, former number 1 draft pick, showed some really good signs of improvement last year. I think he's still got to improve a fair bit to get All-Australian. But he's certainly progressing in the right direction. Next up, we go to Hawthorn. I've gone with Nick Watson. He could be anything. He's already shown this pre-season that he's in and about everything. He has the potential to be an absolute freak of this game. We'll see if that eventuates. He's really good around goals. He can play some midfield minutes, and when he does, he just breaks the game open, hits the packs at pace, usually pretty clean. So if that all eventuates, he will be pretty good. John Newcomb, inside mid, shown that he's a big game player. I think he's a bit off the elite midfielders at the moment, but we'll see. Josh Weddle, if he, depending what position he plays, I could see him being an All-Australian wingman. He could also be an All-Australian halfback flank. And also Tom Barrass has never been All-Australian, and I could see that happening. Melbourne, I've gone with Cade Chandler. I think he was a little bit unlucky a couple seasons ago. Not to be really in contention for All-Australian. I think last year maybe wasn't his best year. But if he can get back towards his best, maybe he will be in that conversation. North Melbourne, they have plenty of opportunities, options for this first-time All-Australian. I went with Paul Curtis, mainly because he was the closest last year, in my opinion. His ability as that medium-sized forward was huge last year. So I'd pick Paul Curtis, but the next three that I'm going to mention are also very much likely to be All-Australian over the next couple years. Certainly Sheasel is in that conversation. You would imagine he will be All-Australian either this season or next. Tristan Cherry last year was arguably top 2 ruckman in the competition. And Luke Davies-Yanaki, if he can get his ball use a little bit better, he certainly would be in that conversation as well. Jumping over to Port Adelaide, I've gone with Mitch Georgiadis. He is someone that I can see kicking 65 plus goals in a season. If he gets some good delivery from their midfield, he could really, really have a big season this year. Other one is Jason Horne-Francis, who's never been there. His consistency's probably let him down a little bit in the long run. He's certainly capable of being good enough for All-Australian. Whether he's good enough across a full season, we'll have to wait and see. Richmond, I doubt any of these get there, but Nick Vlauston hasn't been All-Australian, even though last year was probably his best year, and he just keeps getting better at the moment. So if he can have a good year, we'll see. And I've also got Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper. I don't think they're good enough to be elite midfielders in that All-Australian lineup, but they are both very talented players. St Kilda, I've gone with Jack Higgins. He's capable of kicking 50-plus goals in a season. If you kick 50 goals as a medium-sized forward, you're going to be in that conversation. The other one is Jack Silvani. On to Sydney, I went with Luke McDonald. I'm not real confident with anyone from Sydney being first-time All-Australian. Most of their players that I could see being All-Australian this year have already been All-Australian. But I've gone Luke McDonald if he has a big season up forward. James Rowbottom as a defensive mid is unlikely to happen. And Roseas from Gold Coast joining Sydney, I can see him kicking quite a lot of goals and maybe getting into that spot. We'll see if Sydney are as good as I maybe think they might be this season. On to West Coast, Liam Baker. I've got number 1 here. We'll see how he goes. But in a team that's lacking maybe experience, he gets his opportunity to lead this team, and we'll see how that works out. Harley Reid is the most likely to get there first from the young brigade. If he can get back to where he was maybe at the end of first season. Yeah, his second season wasn't fantastic, but he still has that ability. He still has that game-breaking ability, and you never know. I doubt it'll be this season, but wouldn't be surprised in the next couple. And Ruben Ginby, I think, could be someone that over the next couple of years is one of the best defenders in the competition. He's really developed that side of his game, and last season I think he was fantastic for a team that was under the pump so much. Final team, Western Bulldogs. Once again, a lot of their players have already been All-Australian, but Sam Darcy, I think, is the most likely to step up into that spot as an All-Australian for the first time. Riley West hasn't, maybe Killed, and the other one is Tom Liberatore. Maybe his ship has sailed, but he's still a very, very handy midfielder and was very important for them early season last year when Bont was injured. So the top 3 most likely players I have for All-Australian in 2026, I've got Will Ashcroft from Brisbane. We've said enough about him. He's going to be an absolute gun. Already is an absolute gun. His finals record is insane compared to his home and away record. If he can turn his ability in those final games to a full season, he'll absolutely be All-Australian. Sam Darcy, we just mentioned him. He is one of the best 12 forwards in the competition, one of the most exciting young players in the competition. It's only a matter of time before he is All-Australian. And thirdly, I've gone with Lockie Ash. I think he is potentially going to be a top 2 rebounding defender in 2026. So we'll see if that plays out. But I expect he will be. And if he is, then he'll definitely be All-Australian. Moving on to our next thing we're looking at, and that's best and fairest for each team. So most likely player to be the team's best and fairest, pretty simple. Adelaide, I think Jordan Dawson. There's plenty of competition there. There's Rankin, there's Thilthorpe. I think Dawson put the runs on the board last year. He had a fantastic season. I expect to see him perform really well again. Brisbane, I've gone Hugh McCluggage, but he's going to have a lot of fight for that. Obviously, in that midfield alone, Lachie Neale, Will Ashcroft, Josh Dunkley, and then you've got forward line that's developing, Logan Morris. You've got your halfback flanks that are really, really good. You've got Harris Andrews. There's plenty of competition. That's one of the hardest best and fairest to pick. Carlton, we're going with Paddy Cripps. He had a down year last year. We fully expect him to bounce back to his best in 2026. Nick Dacos is the obvious choice for Collingwood, even though he didn't win it last year. If he stays fit throughout the year, you'd have to think it will likely be him. Essendon, I've gone with Jai Caldwell, but it could be Sam Durham. It could be Zach Merritt, of course, the multiple best and fairest winner at Essendon. There's probably some other options depending on what happens injury-wise and fitness-wise and just form-wise, I guess, for the Bombers throughout 2026. Fremantle, I've gone with a little bit of a maybe off-centre pick, and that is Luke Jackson over Sarong, over Brayshaw, over Hayden Young, over Tracy, over Bolton. I just think Luke Jackson's in for a really big season in 2026. Geelong, I've gone with Maxi Holmes over Bailey Smith, over Jeremy Cameron. They have a lot of good talent there, but I've gone Maxi Holmes. Gold Coast, I've gone with Noah Anderson. Him and Matt Rao. I'm going with Anderson for the fact that he's fit at the start of the year. It's potential that Matt Rao's going to miss maybe a couple games. Lockie Ash at GWS, I've already spoken about him. They've got a lot of injury concerns already. So players like Clayton Oliver are going to have to step up. Finn Callaghan. But I think Lockie Ash has had a good preseason, and I expect to see him go well. John Newcomb, obviously Gunston got it last year. We've talked about the fact that Nick Watson really could take another leap this year. We've talked about Josh Weddle. Their defenders are really good, whether it's Barras, Sicily, Battle. But I think I'm going with Joe Newcomb. Obviously, Will Day would be in that conversation if he wasn't missing half the year. Melbourne, we're going with Cozzy Pickett. Absolute star, game breaker. We a bit more pressure on him this year. Obviously, with a couple players going out, leaving from the midfield. So there's a bit more pressure on him. But I think he takes it and runs and takes his game to a whole nother level this season. North Melbourne, I think Harry Sheezel's the obvious pick. Obviously, Tristan Cherry, Luke Davies-Yanak, a few of these other young players are a chance, but I think Harry Sheezel's the most professional one, the one that we expect to see week in, week out, doing really good numbers. So I've got him. Zach Butters is quickly becoming one of my favourite players in the competition. I love Zach Butters so much. Not just to watch, but not just to watch as a player, but just his general Zach Butterish behaviour. He's fun to watch, and yeah, so I've got him. Jacob Hopper for Richmond. It could be Taranto, it could be Nankervis. Sam Lawler is not without hope, and yeah, I mean the Richmond team don't have too many standout players. There's a lot of young players, so we'll see how that shapes up. Nashai Wanganeen-Malira is the obvious pick for St Kilda. They've obviously recruited this season. Cal Wilkie's still there. De Koning, Silvani, Sam Flanders has had a massive preseason and will be in that conversation as well. But I think genuinely Wanganeen-Malira could be top 5 player in the AFL again this season. So we've got him on top. Errol Gordon is an absolute gun. Who every time he plays, he dominates. He changes this Sydney team so much. You look at the second half of the year. Last year they were so much better. He does go inside mid at times, but he can go outside mid. He just runs all day. If he stays fit and healthy, I think he'll be their best and fairest. Liam Baker from West Coast, I think, is the best of the experienced players. And Marcus Bontempelli has been the number 1 ranked player in the AFL for the last 3 seasons. There's a reason for that, and we're sticking with him for the Doggies. For the Coleman medal and leading goal kicker of each team, some of these teams were really tough to do. Some teams we stuck with last year's, so it's pretty simple. Riley Thilthorpe, clearly Adelaide's best forward, clearly one of the best forwards in the competition. Be surprised if he plays every game this year, which has been an issue historically for him until last year. He kicks easy 50 plus. Logan Morris keeps getting better each year. Look for him to have another big season. Harry Mackay left alone as the tall timber experience-wise in this Carlton lineup with Charlie Curnow leaving. So a bit more pressure on him, but if he plays every game, I can't see any reason he wouldn't kick at least 40 goals. Jamie Elliott coming off career best year. He looks fit and firing and ready to go again. So I don't think there's a huge amount of goal-kicking talent, like big goal-kicking numbers in this Collingwood lineup, and he's probably the most likely. Nate Caddy from Essendon, he's going to get the opportunity to be that number 1 key forward in 2026. He's getting to that age where you need to start taking the steps, and we'll see if that eventuates. Fremantle, we're going with Josh Tracy. Paddy Voss is a chance, but I think Josh Tracy is just that proven goal-kicking leader across a couple years for Fremantle. Obvious one, last year's Coleman medal, Jeremy Cameron. I don't think there'll be too much competition for that, although Shannon Neal, I expected to kick a few more goals than last year. Gold Coast Ben King, obvious pick there. His season last year was outstanding. Probably does similar numbers again this year. GWS 2024's Coleman medalist, Jesse Hogan. One of the best, if not the best, one-on-one offensive threats in the competition. And his ability since joining GWS has just been so high. So I think we stick with him, even though they do have some good young players like Aaron Cadman. Hawthorn, Jack Gunston coming off a career best year, similar to Jamie Elliott. Kicked a few more goals, was their best of Fairest winner. No reason to think he won't do that again. Maybe not to the same level, but at least their leading goal kicker. Melbourne, first year, Brody Myercheck we're gone with. I think he kicks 40-odd goals this year. He'll be probably one of their main targets. They don't have big goal-kicking numbers up forward other than Bailey Fritsch. I think Brody Myercheck fits in well with this forward line, so we'll see how that plays out. North Melbourne, obvious pick, their new captain, Nick Larkey. I think we stick with that. Paul Curtis, we expect even more goals from him this year, but I don't think he'll catch the ability of Nick Larkey if he has a good year. Port Adelaide, Mitch Georgiadis, I've spoken about him previously. He is a really, really good forward. Richmond don't have much up forward. Tom Lynch, obviously. Seth Campbell, I think, was their leading goal kicker last year. I'm sticking with him. I don't know who it will be. It probably won't be big numbers, but we'll see. St Kilda, I went with Cooper Sharman, which is an interesting pick. Obviously, no King. Rowan Marshall will probably get a fair bit of forward time. Jack Higgins is up there. But I have high thoughts of Cooper Sharman being a really good forward over the next couple of years, and maybe 40-plus goals will be enough to be St Kilda's leading goal kicker this year. Sydney, Charlie Curnow, first year at the Swans. I think the Swans will love having him there as a target. It's probably what they've lacked the last season and a bit. Certainly since Buddy left, I think it would make the whole difference, just Charlie Curnow being a target there. It allows the other forwards to not have so much scrutiny on them, and I think that will benefit them massively. Waterman, the obvious pick if he can stay fit for the Eagles. And for the Bulldogs, I've gone Norton over Darcy just because Norton plays full-time forward, whereas Darcy does get around the ground a bit. Norton looks so much better when Sam Darcy is on the field as well, so we'll see how that plays out. So my Coleman top three, I'm going Jesse Hogan to win his second Coleman medal in 3 years. I've got Charlie Curnow, number 2, because I expect Sydney to be huge this year. And number 3, we're going with Josh Tracy. As Fremantle continue to get better and better, Josh Tracy's opportunities are going to keep increasing, and I expect to see a good season from him in 2026. Rising star, so I've got the most, in my opinion, the most likely from each team to win the Rising Star, and then we'll go through the top 3 at the end. Adelaide, I think it's Sid Draper. They drafted some good players this season, but Sid Draper's still eligible, and I think he's going to be a very good talent. So he's got some injury concerns at the start of the year. I don't think he will win Rising Star, but he's certainly capable of it. Brisbane, the obvious pick is Daniel Annable. Will he get enough opportunity in this team? I mean, Levi Ashcroft wasn't that far from Rising Star last year, so maybe he gets similar opportunities to that. It's just crazy to think that this Brisbane team keep adding more and more good midfielders into their stocks. It's going to be crazy what this team looks like in a couple of years if they can keep all these players. Carlton, we're going with Jagger Smith. He missed all of last year with his ACL. There was massive hype on him last year before the season started. He was probably the best ball winner from his draft class. We expect, if he can stay fit, to see some really good numbers from him this year. I wouldn't be surprised to see him averaging over 20 touches and kicking maybe 0.8 of a goal per game. Collingwood, I've gone with Charlie West. There's just no one at Collingwood that I can see winning the Rising Star. I think Charlie West is a good forward option for them. He'll probably get some opportunities throughout the season, depending on what the rest of the team lineup looks like fitness-wise. But yeah, so we're going with Charlie West, but we're not confident that anyone from Collingwood will be genuinely in Rising Star competition. Essendon, Dyson Sharp has shown that he has some good ball use, good running ability. I expect to see him do really well this season. He's certainly not out of the realms of possibility of winning the Rising Star. Fremantle, I don't think they have anyone that genuinely is in contention. They obviously had last year's winner in Murphy Reid, but Tobin Murray is the pick of the bunch, in my opinion, at the moment. Geelong, we're going with George Stevens. If he can find a way to get consistently into this team, I think he's capable of some really big games, so we'll see how that plays out. Gold Coast, Zeke Uland, there's a lot of hype around this guy. If he's half as good as they say, he's going to be well and truly in contention. GWS, Harrison Oliver, as a ball user, he looked okay in the Pracky game. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get some opportunities through this year. I don't think anyone from the Giants is quite ready yet for Rising Star winning, but I could be wrong. Same story, Hawthorn. I've gone with Cam Narn. I'm not real confident on any of them. Melbourne, Xavier Taylor. I don't think he's quite there, but we'll see how he goes. North Melbourne, I've gone with Lockie Doverston in the forward line. I see quite a bit of hype about this guy. I wouldn't be surprised to see him kick maybe 30 goals this season in a forward line that might start seeing a bit more of the footy, so keep an eye on Lockie. Port Adelaide, Will Lawrence, can't see him being massively in contention, but they don't have much options down in Port Adelaide at the moment. Sam Grill from Richmond is the pick of mine at the moment, but they have a lot of talent. Obviously, Josh Smillie was one that I was very close to picking here if he can get fit. But Sam Grill has had a good pre-season. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do well. Taru from St Kilda, we saw a bit of him last year and he showed some really good signs. So I've gone with him. Jesse Detoli, I don't think Sydney really have many options for this. So I've gone with him. West Coast, Willem Dersma is the one I've gone with. Wouldn't be that surprised to see Cooper Tytler have a chance, but we're going with Willem Dersma. He was the number one pick for a reason. And for the Bulldogs, Jordan Croft, if he can get some opportunities and find a way into this team, maybe he's a chance for a nomination at least. The top three I've gone with Jagger Smith, probably the best ball winner that's eligible in this year, and he will get plenty of midfield time, in my opinion, at Carlton. Sam Grill, we'll see how much he gets, but I would imagine he'll get plenty of opportunities at Richmond and shown some really good signs. Sid Draper, I think with another pre-season under the belt, potentially a little bit bigger. We'll see a bit more game time from him. Obviously played, I think, 10 games last year, but most of it was either starting sub or subbed out. So we'll see a bit more from him this year, I think, and we'll see some big improvements as well from him. Moving on, we've got our Brownlow medal picks now. One player from every team, most likely, well, probably just who's going to get the most votes for each team, who we expect to get most votes for each team, and then our top three picks at the end. So first of all, Adelaide, Jordan Dawson, proven vote getter. I don't think there's anyone that will pass him. Rankin and Phil Thorpe are the only options, really, I think. Brisbane, Will Ashcroft. This is going to be a tight battle. He does poll pretty well. I expect to see him continue to improve as well. Lachie Neale, two-time Brownlow medalist. Josh Dunkley gets votes. Hugh McCluggage was their highest vote getter last year, but we're going with Will Ashcroft. Carlton, we're going with Paddy Cripps. Umpires love him. He's always in and under. He gets plenty of the football. Expect him to bounce back towards his best this year, so I've got him third. Nick Dacos from Collingwood. We know how much the umpires love giving him votes. We know how good he is. And we fully expect him to get big votes again in a Collingwood team that perhaps does not have many players that are capable of getting votes. Essendon, Zach Merritt, proven vote getter. He'll get plenty of midfield minutes, you'd hope. And depending what they plan on doing with him in the future, and what he plans on doing in the future. But we're going with Saki. Fremantle, obvious picks, Brayshaw or Sarong. Jackson, Young, there's plenty of opportunities there for votes stealing, but we're going with Sarong, even though Brayshaw was the highest poller last year. Geelong, we're going with Bailey Smith. I almost went Max Holmes, probably could have. Bailey Smith did poll better, though, last year, so we're sticking with that. Gold Coast, we've gone with Noah Anderson, even though Matt Rowe's the proven vote getter. Noah Anderson does all right in the votes, but Matt Rowe, obviously, a freakish amount of votes. Up there with almost Nick Dacos and Paddy Cripps levels. But we're going with Noah Anderson. I expect a really big season from him. GWS, Finn Callaghan, he's probably, him and Clayton Oliver, probably 1 and 2, I would say. I'm going with Finn Callaghan. Hawthorn, we're going with Joe Newcomb. He polls reasonably well. He's fit at the start of the year, so we're sticking with him. Jack Steele from Melbourne gets decent amount of votes. We'll expect to see him do okay in a midfield that maybe doesn't have a huge amount of experience. North Melbourne, we're going with Sheasel. He'll rack him up this year. There's no doubt about that. Zach Butters is Port Adelaide's best midfielder. We'll see him poll really well while he's out there. Tim Taranto from Richmond, maybe for the last time, will be their highest. before this young brigade overleap him next season. Could happen this year. St Kilda, Nashaya, Wanganeen, Malira polled really well last year. If he improves at all, he's going to be well and truly in contention of the Brownlow. Errol Goulden polls well every year. And we expect this Sydney team to be pretty good, so watch out for him. Harley Reid is next from West Coast. They really struggled to get votes last year. Obviously, they won just one game. Harley Reid is a game breaker, a game winner, so we'll see if he can do that again this year. After first season, he showed some really good signs. Marcus Bontempelli, he's our best player in the competition. He doesn't always poll well, but he still polls well enough. I would be very surprised if he's fit all year. He'll get 20 plus votes. Our top three was tough. We've gone Zach Butters. I love Zach Butters. He'll poll well in a team that maybe won't win enough games for him to win the Brownlow, but at the same time, he'll get plenty of it, so he'll be in that conversation. Errol Goulden, as I said, Sydney, I expect to do pretty well this season. I expect him to do really well. And Nick Dacos doesn't have much competition at Collingwood for votes, and he is one of the best ball winners and ball users, so I expect to see him poll well again this season. On to team predictions. We're nearly at the end of this episode. Our wooden spoon pick, we're gone with West Coast. There's Richmond, there's potential of Essendon, North Melbourne, Port Adelaide, Carlton, even maybe Collingwood if they completely drop off the planet. But we've gone with West Coast. We're sticking with what we know. Might be the wrong call. Could be the wrong call if West Coast bounce, but we don't expect that to happen, maybe. But yeah, West Coast, wooden spoon. Minor premiers, we're going Sydney. I think a big bounce back year from the Swans. I think they'll come out of the gates flying and continue that through most of the season. So watch them. If they can stay fit and healthy through their midfield and their forward line, they'll be very dangerous. And their back line's pretty solid. Runner-up, I think Hawthorn might make a grand final. I tell you what, if it's a Brisbane Hawthorn grand final, I don't think I'll have much fun that day. But Hawthorn, they keep getting better and better. So maybe they do again. I know a lot of people question whether they're capable of that with their midfield at the moment. If they get Will Day back mid-season and he's fit and firing, watch out. We'll see how that plays out. Premier, we've got to stick with what we know. They're back-to-back premiers. They haven't got weaker. They've got stronger, if anything. So if they can put it all together and on the park, teams are going to have to get a lot better to catch them. It's just plain and simple. That's how it is. Whether they do or not, we'll see. But we're going Brisbane Premiers at the moment. Obviously, a lot of water to go under that bridge. Final thing to look at for this week is the comments of the week. We do this each and every episode from now on. We're going to be looking at the best comments of the week across all my social medias, across the YouTube, across the Spotify, you name it. We scour for every comment. So if you haven't already, start commenting on the videos, on the TikToks, on the Instagrams, you name it. Go comment on it. And you might get featured at the end of an episode, and we'll just have a quick chat about what you said. That's basically it. So comments here. We got from Mr. Cricket. This was on a TikTok post, so go check it out. All Aussie Rules TikTok. We're posting season previews for every single team on there. Just photos. We've done the bottom 6 teams in our prediction so far. The next up will be the next 6, and then the top 6 will be last over the next few days. Those 2 will go out. And they said our mid, which I'm guessing is their midfield, is definitely better than 15th overall. And this is in relation to the North Melbourne Kangaroos. And look, on paper, I would 100% agree. Those numbers we found out by numbers of last year, using stats, using averages in our rating system. And at the end of the day, the Kangaroos did not play that well last year. So numbers aren't great. But that doesn't mean that at some point by this year, end of this year, they won't be a lot higher than 15th. I expect they fully will. Sheasel, McKercher, Davies-Yanaki, all these sort of players keep getting better and better. So I do expect that they will be well above 15th overall by the end of the year. But thanks for the comment, Mr. Cricket. Rex, who's obviously an Adelaide fan and a Riley Thilthorpe fan. Over on the TikTok, we're doing a top 50 countdown of the best 50 players heading into 2026 season. One each day, and we're at about day 13 today, I think. Maybe day 12, somewhere around there. Oh, it must be 13 because we start on a Thursday. Day 14, though, was Riley Thilthorpe, and Rex has gone my king, and I fully agree. The beast. He's a beast, and I can't wait to see Riley Thilthorpe in action again this season. Yeah. Speaking of Adelaide, over on the YouTube channel, in our season preview videos, we've had Blue Cedar mention about the best 23 for Adelaide. Go check out the video if you haven't already. Adelaide Crows season 2026 preview over on the YouTube. He said Max Michaelani, I don't think that's quite how we spell it, but that's close enough. Definitely in the Crows' best 18. I reckon that rating system undervalues defensive stoppers in the 18 for either Hinge or Laird for mine. Pedler and Bond are also strongly pushing the 23. And then he also commented, Lachlan McAndrew should be the ruckman given the rule change and how well he's rucked in the preseason so far. Firstly, in regards to the Lachlan McAndrew, that video was done before preseason really got going. We certainly hadn't seen any match sim or anything at that stage. So, yeah, maybe they will be playing 2 rucks. Maybe he will be their number 1 ruck. That's fully possible. But at the time of recording and the time of making that best 23, he certainly wasn't. In terms of the rest, I mean, if you're starting on the interchange or you're starting on the field, I don't think it matters much. I had Max Michaelani starting on my bench. Like, yeah, he's certainly in their best 23. I had him in the best 23. I don't think that matters too much. I think they do need Laird out there. He's a good ball user, and Hinge also playing. Pedler Bond, I would argue, could be pushing towards best 23 this season. At the start of the year, I don't think they're quite there just yet, but we'll see how that plays out. But thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. But once again, if they're on the bench or on the starting 18, I don't think it matters too much. Everyone gets pretty much similar game time in the end, and it's just kind of how it works out. So that's pretty much everything we have for you today. I forgot to change the title of this last page, but we're the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast. This was episode number 6 of 2026. Taking a look at all of our season previews, predictions even, for season 2026. I appreciate you for being here. Don't forget to go check out all the social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Twitter /X, All Aussie Rules at all of them. This podcast goes out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts twice a week. Mondays, Fridays at the moment. Will be Mondays, Thursdays once the season kicks off. All Aussie Rules, go find us everywhere. Go hit that follow button, hit the subscribe, hit the like, leave a comment. Let me know all your thoughts on all of my opinions. I'm very much interested in what you've got to say, so let me know. That's pretty much all we got for you. I'm John. This was the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast, and I'll catch you on the next one.